What's going on, my fellow farmer brothers and sisters? Alright, so here we are, another day back at it on this 450 diesel. So stay tuned and see what I'm getting into. Alright, so I apologize for not being able to do a whole bunch of videos lately. I've been slammed at work lately. We've been actually really busy. So I'd rather this be my job, but unfortunately real world, real reality, it's not. I have, another job I do besides this. So, but anyway, trying to think if I can touch base on everything everybody's been asking about. I know everybody's been asking about the Cub, and yes, I am working on the Cub after these two 450s are done. Obviously the big tractors, so they're kind of taking up a lot of space right now. So once I get those two done, the Cub's going to come back out. The Cub's going to get done before the 300. The 300 I'm going to take a little bit more time on, because that's going to be a little bit more of a full-on disassembly. Even though everything works on the tractor perfectly, I think I'm going to go ahead and break everything down and just do everything very meticulous all the way through, because that's going to be, like I said, a special project. But anyway, I'm trying to think. I'm going to spin this around, kind of give you guys an idea. Sorry, bug on my hand. Give you guys an idea kind of what I got going on here, and go over what we're going to do today. I did find out on the 450 diesel that when I pulled the front wheel spindles off, it had two different ones on there. One was the heavy, one was the standard. The standard was actually broke in all three mounting slot holes. It looks like there was just some extra washers that were put on there to help pinch that wheel in place. But I'll walk in the shop and I'll show you guys kind of what I had going on. I did find something from somebody on eBay. Surprisingly, I had an issue with this one guy. Actually, it wasn't really him. He said it was who takes care of his orders while he was away for eBay and stuff. But I have to say, Davidson Tractors, they've actually come through a couple times now for me. Like I said, the first time, a set of hard lines I got, the experience wasn't so great. And I don't like to call people out on it, but I'm going to have to call them out on the fact of they've stepped up their game. Everything that I've ordered so far off of them from eBay, he's actually got it shipped out pretty quickly. Don't expect a lot of responses if you email them or message them through eBay. But don't sweat it, because for the most part, even if they don't get a chance to get back to you right away or at all, they will get the parts out now. Hopefully, me saying that, they'll continue to do what they've been doing, but they've been doing good. So I'll give them a shout out to say, Davidson Tractors. I believe they're like Indiana. I had to look at it. If you guys look on eBay and you find tractor parts and you see it from them, you'll find out. But anyway, I may, if they have a YouTube, I may tag them on this just so they see that I gave them a good review. It's appreciated what they've been doing. But anyway, so I did find a spindle assembly from them, and it's the heavy. So luckily now I got the two matching heavies for the front. So I did sandblast those last night, and I did start wire wheeling the front rims down for the 450. So I'm going to get that all taped up so we can get the primer on and get the silver paint on. Because I remember at one point somebody said that when you use that particular paint, the silver paint from Rust-Oleum, that you don't have to prime the surface first before you put it down. Well, technically you don't have to prime any surface before you put a paint down. But let me tell you this, if you don't prime it and you do put that paint right over top of raw metal, it will start pushing little rust bubbles through when water sits on it. So my advice is prime everything. Don't half-ass it, and don't just shoot paint right over it. Prime it. But anyway, so yes, we are going to prime the rims, prime the spindles, and then we're going to start working on putting the hydraulic lines on, because I did get the lines made up for the power steering, and I do have now the lines for the rear fast hitch. So I'm guessing I might go ahead and put those on this video, and then after that, either I'm going to do the rims for the rear, or I'm going to do the sheet metal. I'm thinking the rims, and then do the sheet metal. But that won't be this video, that'll be the next video. But either way, once I do those two, and then we take care of the brakes as far as that shaft, and put the new clutch pedal and everything on, the 450 is actually good to go. We're very rocking on that. So it means I can jump back on the gasser, get that one wrapped up, so I can get the loader on there, and then we can get on that Cub. So anyway, I'll spin around and show you what I got in the shop. Alright, now I got that stuff all primed and we're good to go there. Let's see if I can get some of these bends out of this room. A little better. Yeah, it looks a lot better right there. Alright, let's get these out. Yeah, it looks a little better. Doesn't kind of stand out in your face anymore. Yeah, I'll just fine tune these a little bit. I might hit this with a little bit of the sander, and it should be pretty much out of sight. Just hit a couple of little itty bitty spots and we're good. This is probably the worst spot in the whole thing right here. Yeah, not too bad. The other rim don't look bad at all, so alright, let's clean this up a little bit. Alright, so unlike the last video when I said do not use a flap wheel sander, now we are going to use a flap wheel. And I like the ones with the slightly rolled edge for doing stuff like this. That way it kind of goes around the pocket a little nicer. So this is an 80 grit right here. Enough to remove metal, but not enough to gouge the metal. Okay, so what I did, I wanted enough to make those dents in those rolls less prominent, but I don't want to remove them because it's part of the tractor's history again of what it's been through. So I'm good with where it's at. Now what I was doing on the mounts right here, see how obviously the washers and all through the years been sunk in. I was just kind of cleaning that up a little bit. So as you see, kind of gave it a little better surface than this. So I'm going to hit this one real quick, and then we're going to take the Dremel, get inside the little crevices through here, get these things cleaned up the rest of the way, and then we're going to wipe the tire down with some acetone and then start taping it up. Alright, let's go ahead, and I'm going to use a little flap wheel on my Dremel, and I'm going to knock some of this paint off inside of these areas here that I couldn't get to with the bigger wire wheel. Goes pretty quick. Alright, switch over to a wire wheel. I'm going to use this to go inside there. I was sworn I had another one, but I don't know what happened to it. And I forgot my little wrench. We're back. Alright, let's do that part first. Goes pretty quick that way. Okay, they're all clean. Now, the only thing when you buy the cheap Dremel wire wheels is you'll get that. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Nope, ain't gonna let me zoom in. I'll have to pull back. See how small it is already? That's the only thing about using those Dremel wire wheels. Nice for small crevices, but they suck for holding up. Some of these are Dremel brand. I just can't remember which one's Dremel brand. But they are awful for keeping their ends. Especially if you're on higher RPM like I was just doing because I had to eat some of that rust off. It just slings those things out of there. So make sure you wear your safety glasses. Because those little needles, you do not want them in your eyes. Alright, and the last part of the detail is going to be using the pick. Go inside all these little cracks and just use a pick. Scrape that junk out of there. You don't have to go through as much detail if you don't want. It's your call. I like to because the devil's in the detail. You get all this little stuff out here scraped out. In the end, you'll be much happier with your rim or anything. And then you won't be walking around saying, yeah, next time when I do it, I'm going to do it this way. Just do it this time and be done with it. And then you don't have to worry about it. And then you're completely happy with the way your job turns out. Just my opinion. Now, if I wouldn't have had the tires mounted, I would have just threw these in the sandblast cabinet and just blasted them real quick. But I didn't feel like dismounting these tires because there's nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with the tubes. Just had to clean up the rims. Somebody painted these rims red at one time in their life. Not sure why that would have been done, because that had to look kind of bad, actually, in red. I'm actually kind of looking forward to getting these front rims done. After I get these done, I can start working on those back wheels. Still not looking forward to taking them off, but I'm looking forward to seeing this thing with all nice new wheels. Alright, my friends, this one's ready to be blown off. Alright, let's go get the acetone. This will help the tape stick better to these tires also. And once this is all done, put a tape on, primer, and finally have some silver rims. I'm going to tell you how much I'm looking forward to seeing the front of that tractor, all its proper colors. Alright, one side, I'll flip it over to the other side and let's get taping. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to show this whole entire process. I'm only going to do a little bit for you guys. You'll kind of get the idea. And then I'm going to fast forward. Basically we're doing that all the way around first. Get all these edges done so that way the paint doesn't go all over the tire. And then we're going to wrap the tire, and then we're going to spray it. Yes, this is tedious. No, it's not fun. Yes, it looks better in the end. Nothing looks worse than seeing nice rims, but then seeing the silver overspray all over the tires. That looks terrible. I mean, say, oh no, it doesn't take too long. Now, the rear tires, this is a pain, because those tires are so big. So, I am going to spray the rims first for those rear tires before I mount them tires. Alright, so you see the process, and then what I'm going to do is, once I do this whole thing all the way around, I'm going to take the wider tape. I'm going to go wide, like this. Then, I'll put my paper on there, and put my paper and tape it to here, and then you don't have to worry about the overspray going under, and it's still getting on your tire. So that's pretty much the process. I'm not going to film this now, so we'll be back when we're ready to prime this. Alright, we are all taped up and ready to shoot some primer. So I went ahead and I just taped the whole thing on that one, because I'm going to have these down on an angle anyway when I spray them, so I don't have to worry about anything getting on this side, and same with that tire there. So I'm going to go shoot the primer real fast, go shoot those hubs with some red, and I'll be right back. Alright, hubs are all sprayed red. First coat's on. Still got to do a second coat. They turned out pretty good. And now let's head in and check out the rims. Alright, the rims turned out good. Put them inside, keep the bugs out of them. And alright, well that's it for tonight. And I will pick this video back up when I'm ready to shoot the silver on there, which will be tomorrow. And then we'll shoot the second coat on those hubs. And then hopefully we can shoot the final coat on these. And then we'll install them. All right, my friends. Well, it's been probably about 4 days. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to get out here and do anything because I've been so busy at work. But anyway, here is a finished rim. All the tape's off. I got to clean the tire up, but paint free around the tire, which is the way it's supposed to be. And that's just the dirt that was on the tire before we started. So I did switch colors. I did originally paint this rim like I painted some of my other rims, in the bright silver. There's your paint number right there. Looks good, can't really argue with it. But then I happened to see they had a version of chrome. I know it's not gonna look like chrome, it never looks like the caps. I mean, that's just unachievable. But I was just curious to see how this would actually come out. So I went ahead and I sprayed it on, and I like it. It's pretty nice, it makes it pop. The only reason I decided to go with a little bit brighter of a rim is because I'm doing the stainless steel exhaust on here. So this will pick up off the stainless exhaust and pop, plus this will pick up off all the stainless trim on the tractor. It's the only reason I decided not to go to that silver. And I also got the proper color for the gauge panels, which these originally came with like a gunmetal-ish gray. Well, the charcoal gray is pretty damn close. So this is actually the color that we're going to run on the gauge panel, because this is about as close as the factory as I want to get. I know I could probably look up paint codes and actually really get like precise. I'm not worried about that on this. 300 maybe a different story. But anyway, so we're going to peel this tape off here on both sides, and the hubs are painted. They both look good. Everything came out nice on these. So we're going to go ahead and repack the bearings with some new grease and put these back together and put this back on. The plate for the fast hitch, I actually got painted, and I actually did paint the fast hitch too. And I did just stick it on because I had no place to put it. I didn't want to get it all scratched up for now. So I stuck it on the tractor. She looks good. Everything's starting to come along really nice on this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get that bolted on. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and get this tape peeled off, get this cover rolled away right here, and then we're going to go ahead and stick those spindles and all back on. So let's get peeling. Alright, let's get to it. Oh no, my lighter's out. Guess it's out. Damn. Alright, now we're good. Very backwards. As I always say, good stuff. Alright, so this is sometimes tedious and like the least fun of the job, peeling all the tape off, but it's rewarding when you don't see tons of paint all over your tires, because that looks absolutely god-awful. When you see nice silver rims from a distance, everything looks nice, and then when you get up on it, you see all the silver overspray all over the tires. That completely kills the paint job. That's as bad as, you know, like I've been installing windows and doors and all that for 35 years. Nothing can kill your job on a window or door install faster than really bad caulk work. Because some of these guys do not know how to caulk worth of shit, and it will kill the window job. So, fired many guys in my life on jobs for some of the work I've seen them do. I've tried to teach, and I will always try to teach. Let's just say some people are beyond. I actually used to have a guy who worked for me. Well, not really worked for me. I didn't hire him. I was doing work for an organized labor company that I actually contracted for. So I actually ran the crews and the guys on their jobs, and let's just say that they hired on one guy who was like the crew leader of that crew. His motto was, do your best, caulk the rest. And he used to think that was hilarious how he could go around telling people that he was a 2-finger and a 3-finger caulker, that he would leave his gaps so wide on his aluminum, or his gaps on his window, he would actually build the caulk up like a bridge and then take his fingers and then smooth it in that way. And he really thought that he had a skill because he could blend in 2 to 3 finger wide caulk beads, they didn't look that smooth. But he thought he was like the shiznit with it. Whew, that was awful. So, as I said, I tried to teach people, but there was a lot of firing through the years. Some people just shouldn't be allowed to have a hammer, a caulk gun, any kind of tool in their hand. And there's a reason why I've been doing it for so many years. I actually give a shit about my job. And I like to make the customers happy. And make sure it lasts. And make sure I don't get callbacks. So, I guess I incorporate that over into everything else I do. Tractors, cars, boats, bikes, whatever I'm restoring. Alright, once I get this tape stripped off this rim, I'm not going to record stripping the tape on the other rim. As I say, that could be a little boring. Once I get this blue off here, I can roll this green off real easy. Now what you want to be careful of when you peel this green off, well, whatever color you use, whatever tape you have against the rim itself, that's, you know, touching the tire, be very careful in peeling it. Because that paint has hardened. And it will actually harden and your tape will peel off and you'll actually break it off and leave that tape in behind your rim and your tire. So when you peel it off, just kind of give it a downwards pull and pull out. Oh my god, pull out. Anyway, you know what I mean. Don't just tear your tape off. Pull it down like this. See, and give it a downwards pull. And then you'll know you get the whole tape out. Because I like to get my tape down in behind that bead. Just like that. Once you get them started, not too bad. This tape probably could have came off a little easier if I didn't leave it on here for almost a week, because like I said, I haven't had time. Alright, let me get this pile of tape out of my hands here. Move this tire around a little bit. Bring her up to here. Make it a little easier peeling that. And once I scrub these tires up now and get all the dirt off of them, and the old paint, all this stuff from wire wheeling, these things look really good. It'll look just like we dismounted the tire and painted the rim and put the tire on after the rim was painted. There we go. Alright, I can get all this off. And then the last piece on the top. Fight me a little bit because it's kind of rolled over both edges. bit more. There we go. And that's how we look when they're all done. That's good. Let me get this other one filled. Alright, hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. Alright, so let me move these tools here out of the way. Alright, so I'm going to end up replacing the bearings. I'm just not going to do it just yet on this tractor because they're still good enough for what I'm doing. But at some point in the future, I am going to replace them, but they're not warranted right now. I don't see any really bad spots. So I'm going to take the first bearing, drop it inside my bearing packer. I'm sure you guys may have seen this. So you can do bearings two ways. You can put the stuff on your palm, shove it into the bearings, or get a bearing packer like this. Put your bearing in. Oh, it's way too high. Put your bearing in like this. And then what I'm going to do is put it on the ground where you can see it. Let's do it that way. Give it a good push down. And what it does is it pushes old grease out and new grease in. So, you know, a lot of you guys have seen these. A lot of you guys haven't done this work before. If you haven't done it, I would suggest trying to get yourself a bearing packer. Very inexpensive, works very well, and as you see, really shoves that grease up inside there. But we're not gonna, this bearing right here has to get tapped off. I'm not gonna do that. So this one here, I am gonna do the trick of pushing grease into the bearing and then seating this hub back in place. So what I'm gonna do is get this bearing up and out now. And we got plenty of grease on her. And I don't know where I set my cap, but anyway, I'm just going to sit the bearing inside there for now. I'm going to scoop some of this new grease out, and I'm going to go ahead and coat this bearing that's on here, pushing it down into all the rollers. That, so we're pushed in. Now I'm going to push it into the front crack where the rollers are as well. Like that. Now I'm going to take my finger, just make sure all the rollers are turning, all the grease is pushed in. I'm going to put a little grease around this seal, which will help that hub go back on. Don't really need it on here, but I'm going to put some on here anyway, just so that way it's coated and I don't have to worry about any water ever getting in and rusting it. Okay, everything's coated here. Get this off the fingers. Only because the fact of I don't feel like getting it all over the newly painted hub. I'm going to wipe it off in the end, but just minimize cleanup. Alright, let me see if you can see what I'm still doing. Alright, this has all been cleaned up inside here. So we are ready to put this back in. Get it up to that seal. Give it a little wiggle. Slide that right on. It actually feels good, no drag. Grab that front bearing, push it right back in place. Like that. That actually feels good. And then grab the lock. So this right here, it's just a castle nut. Screw this on. Once you get it snug where the wheel doesn't move, doesn't really have drag, you got to get that fine line. Then you're going to go ahead and tighten this up. Doesn't really tighten and loosen by hand very easy. I just use a crescent wrench. And if you wanted to, you can even just take this bolt out. Get it out of your way for the time being. Set it off to the side. And that way you can just put your wrench on there. Get this on and get our tension. Now I still have to make the gaskets for the cover yet. I haven't made that yet. So I don't need a wrench right now because it moves okay by hand. I'm going to check it. Doesn't move around, doesn't play. It's got a nice spin to it. I'm just going to go a hair more until I feel the drag like I do right now. See, it doesn't spin as easy. I'm going to back it off just a little bit. And it's perfect. So, wipe this back off. And then go ahead and put it right on back through. Just like that. Now grab 2 wrenches. I think that was 5/8 on this side, and I believe it's 9/16 on the other. Yes. But what I want is 9/16. 5/8, sorry. I want 5/8 over here. Hold this in place and tighten her up. Clamp this down. Don't over torque it so you don't break it, but don't leave it loose. You don't want that backing off and having our front wheel wobbling all over the place. And that actually feels pretty good. It's got a nice spin to her. It's not wiggling. So except for the cover and the gasket, this side's done. I'm going to repeat the process over there. We're going to cut a gasket. We're going to seal this up, get these wheels on, and we're done. Alright, cut the new gaskets out. Now I'm ready to put the caps on. So what I'm going to do is move back. Alright, set the gasket in place. Push the bolts through the hole. Like that. And then push her in place. Very simple. Really nothing to it. Restart them, and then what I'll do is, if I scratch any of the bolts up in the end, I'll come back with a brush and just touch them up. Okay, you don't have to crush these down. Just put them on enough just to make that gasket seal. That's it. Again, we'll wipe it down. Very minimal touch up. I didn't scratch the bolts up too bad. All right, one side ready for the front rims. Okay, got one side on. Let's put the side on and wrap this video up. Hopefully I got her up high enough. Nope, go up a little higher. Tad more. And that should be good. Alright, perfect. Alright, get some lock washers and nuts on here. Snug it up and lower her down and tighten them up completely when it's on the ground. Tell you, that jack extension that I built for this floor jack, it's definitely been quite useful for these jobs. I'll pull back the camera in a minute and show you. Alright, I think the thread's a little buggered up on this one. That's why I always buy extra. I'll chase that thread later. Alright, let's snug this up. Spins nice and free. Two. And last one. There's three. All right. So here's the jack extension that I made. You guys might have seen me talk about that in one of my previous videos, but I'll tell you one thing. It has been beautiful for jobs like this. And of course I put a 2x4 up here just to protect the bottom side. That's that. Pull this out. Alright my friends, and that's how she looks. Looks much, much better. I don't know if I got a before picture, but if I do, I'll pop it in right now. And then you can see what these things used to look like. So definitely night and day difference. Makes the front end actually look good. Now it makes the back end look really bad. But the back wheels are next. So well, anyway guys, that's it for this video. She looks good. Look at that. I like that chrome paint. I think I actually like that better than using that silver. Ooh, at least for this job, looks much better. Once I scrub and clean those tires, get all the dirt and stuff off, she's gonna look really good. All right, well, that is it for this video. I think it may be long enough. I know I gotta do some editing and piece this together and hopefully shorten this up. But anyway, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell. And I got many more coming out right after this. So thanks for watching.